A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible.
This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we talk to Greg. Looking over stuff he sent us, he's got some really good things going on. He's got a pension. He's going to be a millionaire before he knows it, which I'm about to break that news to him, and so much more. Let's hear from him now. Hello, Greg.
Hey, Pete, how are you?
Good. You're in law enforcement, I understand. Is this correct?
That's right.
And you told me you cannot tell me what agency.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, and do you have a mustache? Can you tell us that?
I can, and I don't.
Oh, wow. This is disappointing already. Greg, tell us what's going on in your life. You got some interesting things. You've got a normal business, and then you got a side business, and then you got a pension. You got all sorts of things going on. Lay out your financial life for us.
All right, yeah. So my wife and I, we are 31 years old.
Okay.
We have a small child, and like I said, I'm in law enforcement, and been doing that for about 10 years now. And when my wife and I first got married, we were a dual income family, and unfortunately, she had some health issues pop up, and she had to stay at home, which has worked out. She's stayed at home with her son, but we went from 2 incomes to one, and so we kind of had to tighten down a little bit. But fortunately, while we had 2 incomes, I think we made the best of it. We stayed out of debt for the most part, and put ourselves in a position where now I'm still got my job. We don't have no car debt, no student loan debt, no credit cards or anything like that. And my wife and I started a side business that originally we were just wanting to, it'd be great if we could make an extra $200 a month or something like that. And it's really, over the past year, taking off. And we're making more money now than we probably ever thought we would at this age. And so, which is not astronomical, but it's just more than we anticipated. So, not having much debt and our house payment's pretty reasonable, we're starting to, accumulate some cash and trying to figure out how to allocate that towards some of these midterm goals that we have, like having a bigger home and some future vehicles and things like that.
So, is that side gig? Is it law enforcement related as well? Like, I know a lot of people moonlight and do security and stuff. Are you doing that, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I do that as well. So, like, I work different security type jobs, and I could, really, you can make as much as you want depending on how often you work. But I think last year I made an extra $5,000 or $6,000. But I could have made probably closer to 10 if I really hustled. But so those opportunities are available for me.
Do you ever do private bodyguarding for Z-list celebrities? Anything like that?
No, nothing like that. You probably wouldn't want me anyway. I'm a real small guy, so
Well, look,
I'm gonna fit the mold.
I was on a plane the other day. A lady's walking down the aisle to her seat in coach, and she looks at me and she goes, my husband enjoys your column. And the way she said it, it was really aggressive because it was like, well, she didn't, but her husband did. And I thought, if I had security with me right now, I'd have her hemmed up. You know what I'm saying, Greg?
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, so there's a lot of good stuff going on. Is there any chance this second business either takes completely over for your main gig or is eliminated by some mystical force? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very specific type of business, and the type of business it is, it's kind of, I don't really want to mention it just because
Sure.
the other people who do the same thing, they don't like to talk numbers, and it's not like multi-level marketing, not knocking anybody that does that, but it's not like an MLM type thing or anything like that. But I don't foresee it taking over. Well, I take that back. I foresee it where we can end up making more money a year with this than I am in law enforcement, but I don't foresee, me leaving my career. I think that I'll, probably, work, do this for another 20 or 25 years or so.
So I can assume,
but-
yeah.
Yeah.
I can assume what you're doing is you're taking evidence out of the evidence room and then selling it, and that's the side business, right? Is that what we're talking about? No?
You go to prison, so I can't do that.
All right, so you do have a pension, though, since you're in law enforcement, which really makes things really interesting. Most people don't have a pension anymore, and so you're 31. At what age will you be able to fully retire from your service? 55? Is that right?
Yeah. The 55 is kind of the standard age. You know, if you accumulate a lot of extra annual leave over your career, you can actually use that towards your retirement. So I would say that 53 to 57 range is kind of what I would be looking at as far as retirement. And the way retirement is at work, it's kind of like a hybrid plan. So if you work 30 years, just say, you get 1% a year of your highest, I think, 3 years averaged out. So, you get 30% of your highest 3 as a pension. And then we have a 401k where if you put in 5%, my agency will match up to 3%.
Okay.
For a total of 8. So it's kind of like you get a small match on your 401k, and then you get kind of a smaller type pension.
So, Nicole, let's pull up his numbers. I want to work through them here a little bit. You have got $125,000 set away for the long term. You put $927 a month, and some of that's Roth, from what I understand. You have $57,000 in your savings account, which we'll get back to in a second. Let's take a look at debt levels. You have none, and you have a monthly mortgage, a 20-year mortgage, paying $800 a month. So tell me, Greg, how long do you think you'll stay in that house?
See, that's kind of what my wife and I were trying to work through that. I mean, we're pretty comfortable, right now, but it would be nice to have a bigger home or maybe, buy some land where we're at. And I say land, I don't know, 5 or 10 acres and build a house. So we're trying to decide, the real estate market here, it's not like one of your major cities, but it's starting to heat up a little bit, and there's really, some of the houses to upgrade it's just not worth the money right now for me. Not that, it may stay that way. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to correct here, but I don't know. Just, I'm really content where I'm at, unless, just the right house came up. So just kind of toying with the idea of where we want to move and trying to decide on how much we would want to spend on a future home.
Do you think your next move will be your final move, that sort of forever home term that people use that annoys me? Do you think that'll be your final move or not?
I would probably go into it, with that assumption, but, I wouldn't want to say it's set in stone.
Yeah.
Well, I would want to go into it knowing I was going to be there for a while, though.
Well, your long term's looking good. We calculated your $1 million day as we pull it up here, July 3rd, so the day before the 4th of July, because that's how numbers work, 2036. So July 3rd, 2036, you will be a millionaire at your exact current pace of investing in savings. And at age 67, if you were to grind all the way through 50 and keep working and depositing at $973 a month, you would have $4.5 million at retirement and $10,575 a month of income. But after inflation, Greg, that would really feel about like $4,300 a month. But you know what? Your situation's one of those that I look at it and all I see is flexibility. I think you've got a million options. Like you got the world by the belt right now, and that's a good thing. And that's why, like, this choice of should we move and should we get in more house, I think that you could, but I think that could limit your flexibility. And I'm not so sure the real estate market's not going to get punched in the teeth here in the next 18 months or so. I mean, I'm not a real estate expert, and I don't know what market you're in, but something tells me, with interest rates going up, with actual inflation concerns now, that jumping into a home sort of like half-assed, frankly, because I couldn't think of another term, because you kind of want to, but you kind of don't want to, it's probably not the greatest idea right now.
Okay. All right. And that's kind of what, there just wasn't, I'd go online and would look, and there's houses that, used to sell for, say, $80,000. Now they're like $105,000, $110,000. It just, it's getting definitely more expensive than it has in recent years past. So.
Yeah. So, what are you doing with all this extra money coming in? Obviously, you put $56,000 or $57,000 in savings. Are you just accumulating it right now? Like, what are you doing with all this extra money?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Right now, we're just putting it in savings. I mean, we're maxing out our Roth, and my wife has one, and I have one, and then I have the 401k. Right now, I'm putting in 15% of my income into that, and then I've got the pension going. And so, other than that, we're just kind of sticking money in a savings account. Trying to decide on what to do with it. I never really anticipated having the cash on hand that we do now. But I've almost got so much flexibility, not really sure where to go with it. I've got actually an option with work where they this past year we can change our 401k contributions to either traditional or Roth, and then we also can do a 457 traditional or Roth. So I thought, well, maybe I should put some more money in like a 457 plan, or maybe set a brokerage account, or I've actually toyed the idea of getting a rental house, and so I've been thinking about just saving up and doing that. But then again, you go back to the real estate market being kind of hot right now, so I may just sit on that for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, real estate eventually could be a really interesting way to diversify for you. If you look at the short, mid, and long term of your financial life, your long term is pretty solid, right? You got a pension, you'll have millions of dollars at your current pace. Your short term, dude, it's fine. You got 50-some thousand, which actually then bleeds into your midterm. I would say if anything isn't amazing, it's the midterm. It's the next 14 years. So if I were you, and I rarely like to do the if I were you thing, but I like to think I'm in sort of financial law enforcement, which is not true. But I like to think that. If I were you, my extra money coming in, I would aggressively put it in brokerage accounts, non-qualified, meaning non-tax sensitive brokerage accounts, because that will give you even more flexibility because you don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half to take the money out. So if I'm you, I'm looking at robo-advisors or like really inexpensive ETFs through like Vanguard or T. Rowe Price or something like that. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing. Like what I've just said is since we've maxed out everything else, like you, I would, well, actually you have not maxed out your 401k, but I don't think you should based on other things you have going on. I'd rather you aggressively hit that midterm. Okay.
I gotcha. So just, and actually I'm also with Vanguard, so just open, you would recommend either that or like a Betterment or, one of the robo-advisors.
Yeah, I like Betterment.
Yes.
I like Betterment. Okay. I like Vanguard, like T. Rowe. Any of those are fine.
Okay.
Okay. I would say, though, here's the thing that scares me about your situation. Or two things. Number one, you're in law enforcement, you don't have a mustache, and I don't think that's trustworthy. Number two, do you at least wear chaps? Like, do you wear, like, motorcycle chaps or anything?
No, I don't.
That's weird. That's just weird for you. I mean, even if you're not a motorcycle officer, I think you can get a lot of respect by wearing chaps to the scene. Here's what concerns me. Let's say that second gig goes away, the second business,
right.
for whatever reason. You have to have the flexibility and the wherewithal to subtract half of your income and still be okay. And if you can work towards that point by aggressively depositing into a brokerage account, essentially the equivalent value of that second income, then this is almost foolproof. Like, that's the foolproof plan.
Okay. Gotcha. And that's kind of what I didn't, I didn't foresee it going away, but like, you never know. And it could theoretically change. And so I wouldn't want to, adjust my lifestyle to depend on that. And then something happened and like, our income on the business drops and then, we're struggling. So, right now we can live on my salary and still invest in a Roth and 401k and have a little money left over. Just,
yeah.
So.
No, man, I like it. And you have a child, one child, two? How many? 5? What do you got?
I got one. We got one.
And you got a 529 plan going, right?
Yes. We've got about, I think, 10,500 in it last time I checked.
And how old's the kid?
He's 5.
Okay, see, that's great. That's great. And, keep that going. Is your state do you live in a state that has some tax credits or tax advantages for 529?
Yeah, and that's why I picked the one that I did, because we get a little tax break on our contributions to that.
Okay.
So, and it's one of the, I think the Utah plan's really high, I think, rated, highly rated, but it's one of the better ones, as far as rating goes.
Sweet. Good. What else? Anything else I can answer?
Well, what about the 457 plan at work? Is that something that you would look at doing? Either Roth or traditional contributions, or just kind of stick with the 15% in the 401k?
Well, here's the thing, just for those that don't know, 457 plan is a type of non-qualified tax advantage deferred compensation plan that government or certain non-government employees can use. The employer provides the plan, right? So, Greg, your employer is allowing you to do it, and then you defer your compensation pre-tax or after tax if it happens to be a Roth 457. So, if they allow that. In my estimation, I think you are better served in using brokerage accounts to increase your savings, because it's just a lot more flexible.
Okay.
And sometimes 457 plans can be pretty expensive, the fees within them, and you can get 1/10 of the cost by going with large ETF shops or with Betterment.
Okay. All right, I gotcha. And the other thing, we've got some property that we're trying to sell, and then about to receive a small inheritance.
Oh.
So the land, it's kind of in a rural area, and it's just going to take some time to sell. I think it will eventually, and it's probably worth around $20,000,
Sure.
and then we'll probably get an inheritance around 15 or so. The estate is pretty much getting close to wrapping up, and to pay out the beneficiary. So that's going to add some more cash, and then would you consider? I've thought about at some point paying my home off, because I'm projecting with the land sales and the inheritance, and then the way the business is trending for this year, I think that we'll end up having probably about 120 to 130 in cash. And so, I've thought about even paying off my mortgage in the next year or two, just because I don't owe very much on it. But I don't know. I know that's not necessarily always the best thing to do. But wanted to see what you thought about that.
Yeah, from a long-term perspective and using, sort of the rules of math, I think it makes more sense to invest than to pay off cheap debt, because your debt is super cheap. Nicole, pull up the mortgage sheet there, if you will, for a second. You got a 20-year mortgage at, I believe it was 3 point something. There it is, 3.25.
Yeah.
Dude, that's super cheap. I would rather you invest and get 8% on your money than to pay the debt on 3.25%. But look, it's not the end of the world if you pay off your mortgage. It's great, but then it's on you to take that $800 a month, which is your mortgage payment now, and then saving or invest that going forward so it can make sense. But I don't know. It's 6 one, half dozen the other. But if it were me, I would not aggressively pay off my mortgage.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, if we were to upgrade our home in the next, 2 to 4 years or so, depending on when we decide to do that, is there a rough estimate that you would think we would be okay to stay in as far as a payment goes, and be able to still set ourselves up for a good retirement?
Yeah. What's your take home from your main job? What's your take home pay?
Well, right now it's a little over $3,000 a month, but that's after my 15% 401k and health insurance and all that. I say that it's like $1,600 one check, and then it's every 2 weeks, and the next one's like $1,500. But I'm about to get about a $10,000 raise in January, and then then I can work these side gigs where if I work a 12-hour shift, I'll make about $400 or something like that with the security stuff. So, but that's just really whenever I want to work.
Based on those numbers, roughly about $1,200 a month. At the most. But I'm trying to ignore your extra gig.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So now, if you included your extra gig, you're talking a lot more. You're talking close to $2,000. But that would be a really bad idea. Really, really bad idea.
Okay. Well, which in our area, you can get a nice home for $1,200 a month very easily. So.
Do you have a badge? You ever
yeah.
walk around and You ever go to like Dairy Queen and you're like, I'll have a Reese's Pieces Blizzard, and they're like, we don't have any Reese's Pieces, and you pull out your badge, you're like, do you now? Do you ever do that?
No, see, you can't do that. You can't ask for it. I mean, you know, you can't. But you know, I do have to wear a badge on my belt every day. So.
Oh my God!
And I do like Dairy Queen.
I should wear a badge. Nicole, can we get me a badge that says something?
Yes, we can.
Here's the thing. Yeah, you can't brandish your badge and like, because that's like a thing, right? They're right, Greg? You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't. You know, you can't. You're not supposed to.
I would brandish my badge.
Yeah.
Like it'd be having just my face on the badge, like Golden Peter on the badge. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say that. Yeah. CE bro.
Yeah, I like those all. All right, great.
So now you can. Yeah.
Anything I can help you with other than trying to get you fired by getting you to brandish your badge for ice cream treats? Anything else I can help you with?
No, I think that covers it. I just really wanted to get your thoughts on kind of this midterm money and where to funnel this extra cash and some ideas on you know these midterm things that come up. You know.
Sure.
So.
Well, here are the main takeaways. Here, these I will summarize for you. Number 1. Grow a mustache. Number 2, non-qualified brokerage accounts, I think, is the best way to build wealth. Number 3, if you're going to buy another house, keep it to around $1,200 a month. And number 4, try to live your life as though that other money doesn't exist and just use it to build assets, because if it ever goes away, then it won't matter. And so that's what we'd like you to do.
All right, sounds great.
Right.
Well, I sure do appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Be safe out there.
Hey, yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, that's it for this week's Pete the Planner Show. Gonna get a badge. Oh my gosh, I would get a badge. I would show it to everybody. Look at everybody. Look at my badge. But that's why I'll never have a badge. All right, that's it for the show. I'm done talking. You want to be on the show? Be on the show. Go to PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. And until next time, here's my badge.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?